Morning, everybody. It's good to see you again. So today is a little bit different. We have set things up in our film studio here to enable you to turn on your cameras if you wish. I've got a big screen playing back here behind the cameras that are filming me, and that will enable me to give feedback on your practices should you decide to take advantage of that. Now, if you do turn your camera on, your image will not be recorded as we practice, so you don't have to worry about that. And of course, if you would just prefer to keep your cameras off, that's totally okay as well. But for now, Raquel, Uni, Christina, and Andrea, thank you so much for coming in. So when you're ready, sit up really tall. And for the next few moments, close your eyes and redirect your focus to your breathing patterns. And for a little while, pay close attention to your inhaling and your exhaling. Whenever your mind wanders somewhere else, just notice and slowly redirect. And today we'll start with the alternate nostril breath. So lift your right hand to your face and then place the tip of your index and middle finger right between your eyebrows. Breathe all the way in. Breathe all the way out. Use your thumb to block the right nostril and inhale left. Hold your breath. Ring finger to left. Exhale right. Breathe in through the right. Hold at the top. Block the right and exhale out the left. Inhale left side. Another pause. Exhale out the right side. Breathe in through the right. Breathe out through the left. One more full round. Breathe in left. Breathe out the right. Breathe in right side. Breathe out the left side. And drop your hand to your lap. Breathe all the way in. Breathe all the way out. Hold your breath out until it becomes very slightly uncomfortable. When you get to that point, just return to normal breaths again. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest and think of someone you would like to dedicate today's practice to. And send your person some good energy mentally. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And today we'll start out with some cat-cows. So move to a four-pointed kneeling position with your shoulders right above your hands and your knees a bit behind your hips. Now we've all done a ton of practice together, so you can of course be as freestyle as you like, but I would at the minimum start with rounding your spine and arching your back. And then invariably, once you start to discover some areas that are tense or maybe tight, you should shift your motions to accommodate that. Move around creatively so you can open up those spaces that are resisting. Sometimes it's useful to sort of hold still at a certain spot that feels tight. So if that works for you, feel free to do that. And on your own self-paced, just explore the tension around your spine. And see if through your moving you can unwind some of that tension. Deep breaths all the way through. Now find your way back to the neutral stance with your spine. Then thread the needle by sweeping your right arm across your center line. Take your shoulder all the way down to the floor and your head as well. For the next few moments, just press your hands into the earth to passively twist your spine. And drive all the way down through your hand to come up. Thread the needle on side B. The left arm threads across. Once you've taken your shoulder and your head to the ground, press your right hand into the earth to deepen the twist. And send your breath into a space that feels tense. And press down to come all the way back up. And curl your toes under and lift your hips upwards in the air for the downward facing dog. Bend your knees a little bit and lift your tailbone higher into the air to tilt your pelvis forward. Squeeze your elbows in toward your skull until your arms are straight. And press your chest a bit closer to your legs. And then finally, some old school paddling to loosen up your calves and your hamstrings. And another round of deep breaths. Use your next inhale to roll to the plank position with arms straight. Feel free to take your knees to the ground if it helps. And then today, lower all the way down to your belly. Prop yourself up on your elbows for the Sphinx posture. Press your elbows down into the ground. Slide your shoulders away from your ears toward your hips. And lift your collarbone just a little tiny bit more till you get a good opening in your back. And if you want to go further and your back feels okay with it, lift your elbows off the floor and work towards straight arms for the cobra. And then slide your shoulders down. And again, lift your collarbones upward just a bit. Take your elbows all the way back down to the earth. Shift your hips back to the heels for the child's pose. One more range of motion to work in your spine. Walk your hands way over to your left. Let your right armpit sink closer to the floor and use that to open up space between your ribs. And walk your hands all the way off for the same posture on the other side. Drop your left armpit toward the floor, which will give you some more stretch in your lats. And breathe deeply again. All right, then walk your hands forward. Take a look ahead at your hands. And then to get to the up dog, roll through your arms and then up to the back bend. Lift your hips back to the ceiling for the downward facing dog. And take a look forward, step or hop to your thumbs. Come all the way up to your fingertips once you've gotten there. A forward fold with your exhale. Use your inhale, sweep all the way up to standing. Reach your arms up to the ceiling overhead. Hands to your chest with your exhale. And inhale to sweep your arms upwards. Forward fold as you breathe out. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. The down dog stretch to exhale. As you hold there, keep taking your breaths through your nose. Try to press your exhales all the way out to your feet. And after you empty your lungs completely, fill them up again with some deeper inhales. Round two of the same. take a look forward and step or hop to the front of your mat. Come upwards onto your fingers. Forward fold with your exhale. Use your inhale, sweep upwards, straight spine as you rise. Hands to your chest with your exhale. Inhale, sweep them up. Forward fold as you exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. The down dog stretch with your exhale. Now crazy glue your hands to the floor and then come up to the tips of your toes. Move your hips and your heels to the right and just use that to stretch your side. As you hold there, press your left hand down just a bit harder. Use an inhale to come all the way up. Take your hips over for the same posture on the other side. And really squish the mat under your right hand as well. Sweeping your hips all the way back up. Take a look forward. Move to the front of your mat again. Come all the way up to your fingertips. And forward fold as you exhale. Use your inhale, sweep to standing. Hands to your chest as you exhale. Inhale and sweep your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to your fingers. Chaturanga push up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. The downward facing dog with your exhale. Now this time, step your right foot forward. Turn your back heel all the way down to the floor. Spin up to warrior two with your torso facing off to the left-hand side of the class. Now once you're there, bend your front leg substantially until you get some burning in your thigh. Lean forward over your front leg and stack your right arm on the thigh itself. Extend the side angle by reaching your left arm all the way forward to the front. And for the next few moments, just rotate and twist your whole torso open to the side. A little bit more rotation, spin your left chest upward toward the ceiling and touch. And inhale all the way back up for warrior two. Straighten your leg, turn your feet to face sideways. Rotate your left foot around. Repeat warrior two facing the back of your mat. A strong forward lean so that your left arm stacks on your thigh and reach your right arm all the way over the ear. Rotate and twist your torso open to the side. It feels good, look upward, under your armpit toward the ceiling. If it doesn't, sideways or down is always a good alternative. Use your next inhale to come back to warrior two. Once you've done so, straighten your leg, take your hands to your hips, and then forward fold and take both of your hands down to the floor. Lift to your fingertips, turn your toes out, bend your legs substantially, and tuck your ribs down on the front so your torso is really compact. Reach your arms all the way forward to the front. If that's too much, you can always take your arms out to the sides instead. For the next few moments, just hover there for a while as you stretch your legs and build strength in your back. Then the full horse. Keep your legs bent. Use an inhale to sweep your arms all the way up. Drop just a little deeper down into your seat. And as you hold there, don't forget to breathe. Straighten out your legs all together. Reach your arms way out to your sides. And take a massive step to get back to the front. Inhale and sweep your arms up. Forward fold as you exhale. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. Then the down dog with your exhale. Step your right foot forward again. Turn your left heel up to the ceiling and square your hips to the front of your mat. Full crescent lunge. Sweep your arms outwards and then upwards. As you hold there, press back through your left heel. Bend down into the front leg till you feel some heat building. At the same time, reach tall through your fingertips to elongate your arms. Lean forward and plant your hands. Chaturanga Vinyasa. Breathe in as you bend your spine. Then out again as you move to the down dog. Left foot lunges forward. Take a moment to come to your fingertips. Square your hips to the front of the mat. Really press back through your rear heel. Sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Sometimes the back leg tends to bend, so press through your heel back there to elongate and bend into the front leg until it starts to burn again. If it's hard to straighten your arms, you always take your arms just a little wider apart as you reach through your fingertips. Now lean forward and plant your hands upon the earth. Back to the high push-up. Down through chaturanga. To the up dog with your inhale. All the way back to the down dog stretch with your exhale. Press out through your arms. Move your chest toward your thighs. With your tailbone lifted, press your heels down toward the floor again. Now take a look forward. Step or jump up toward the front of your mat. Leave a little space ahead of your toes. Then heel toe your feet all the way together. Come down to a squatting posture. Move your knees way out to your sides. Now with your butt sort of settling down towards your heels, walk your hands further forward. Separate your knees a little bit more so you can really squiggle and wiggle and get your belly down between your legs. Then curl your chin to your chest. Round your back like a cat. And then just sort of hold there and breathe deeply again. All right, everybody, as always, you're welcome to stay there if you wish. Otherwise, it's crow time. Plant your hands on the floor, shoulder distance apart, and make sure that your fingers point directly forward. Sometimes it's helpful to point your elbows out to the sides. Then try to slide your legs all up onto your uppermost arms. If you'd like to modify in a second step, lift your hips and lean a little weight forward, or potentially take your feet off of the mat and hover there for a bit. Slow, even breaths throughout. All right, take your feet all the way back down, and this time around, just step back to the down dog. No need for a push-up after that. Take a look forward. Step your left foot forward to your hands. Sweep both arms all the way up to the ceiling above your head. Then cross your right elbow over your left leg. Join your hands together in a prayer and press back through your rearmost heel till that leg feels long. And press your hands together to rotate your spine to the side. Next time you breathe in, sweep your arms all the way back up. Straighten your leg, turn your feet to face sideways. Come back to the same lunging posture facing the back of your mat. And once you've got into that position, cross your left elbow all the way over. With hands joined together in a prayer, elongate your back leg and keep twisting things out. And next time you breathe in, come back up to the full lunge. Straighten your leg, turn your feet to face sideways. Take a really big step to get back to the front of your mat. And inhale to sweep your arms up. Forward fold as you breathe out. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push up with your exhale. The up dog with a big breath in. The down dog with your exhale. Now step your right foot forward. Walk your hands across the ground and face off to the edge of your mat. Turn your toes out and bend your legs. Take your hands to your knees. Press your knees apart. And as you do that, rotate your chest to your left hand side. Just keep breathing deeply as you hold the twist. Square your chest with the ground and straight away switch over for the same posture on side B. Release the twist and take your hands to the ground. Now walk your hands to your right to face the front of your mat. Spin your right toes forward and your back heel up so you're in a full lunge. Take your back knee all the way down to the ground. Straighten your right leg. Come up onto the heel and slide your foot a little further forward till your back thigh feels closer to vertical. Then squaring your chest with the front of the mat, either hold there or curl your chin to your chest and drop your forehead closer to your knee. Now to get to the other side, just bend your leg, walk your hands left across the floor, and then keep spinning around to face the back of your mat. Take your rear knee down to the ground for an anchor. Now shift your hips backward so you can straighten that front leg. Slide the heel forward a bit till your thigh is closer to vertical in the back. With your hips still maintaining that square, lift to your fingers if you want to modify. Or with chin curled to chest and a slightly rounded spine, take your forehead closer to your knee again. Now lift your chest away from your thigh, bend your leg, walk your hands over to the side of your mat, and then come up to your fingertips with your big toes turned in. Walk your hands back a little bit more so your fingers align with your toes. Fold forward and stretch both sets of hamstrings at once. As you hold, stretch the top of your head close to the floor. And try to straighten your legs as much as you can as you continue holding. Use your next inhale to come up to your fingertips. Return your hands to your waist. Stand all the way up, pausing at vertical. Reach both your arms completely out to your sides. Take a large step to get back to the front of your mat. Close your eyes for the next few moments. And then redirect all of your focus to your inhaling and your exhaling. And then with open eyes, take your hands initially to your waist and draw your left knee really high to your chest. Sweep your arms back to your sides, and then enter the airplane. Kick your left foot all the way back. Lean forward a little bit at a time over your leg. For the next few moments, hover there with your eyes glued to one single solid space on your mat. Try to lift your back leg up as high as you can. Use an inhale to sweep back upwards. Draw your knee to your chest. Drop your foot and join your hands together in a prayer at your heart. Different pose. Take your hands to your waist. Draw your right knee to your chest. And with your right hand, either grab your knee or your big toe. Truly either or. As you stand tall, swivel your leg right. If you're grabbing your foot, extend your foot over to your sideways. Otherwise, just hold on to your knee for a little while. Drop your foot all the way back down to the floor beneath. Once you've done so, take your hands all the way back to your waist. This time, draw your right knee up to your chest. Take your arms back to your sides. Lean forward for the airplane. Kick your foot all the way back to the rear. Lean forward a little bit at a time to test your balance. Use an inhale to come all the way back up. Reach your arms to the ceiling above you. Join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And this time, draw your left knee all the way up. Remember the options. You either grab your knee or your big toe. Help the knee to come up a little higher. Swivel your leg out to the left. And then maybe possibly kick your foot outwards and upwards into your hand. That's all. Drop the foot, join your hands together in a prayer. Use your inhale to sweep your arms all the way up. Forward fold as you breathe out. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. The down dog with your exhale. Right, step your right foot forward. Walk your hands ahead. Steeple your fingers and turn your fingers out. Now to take the half moon, step onto your leg. Lift the back one really high. From there, consider modifying by touching your left hand to your chest. If that goes well, roll your hip and your heart open to the edge. Reach your left arm straight up to the ceiling overhead. Now plant both your hands on the floor and stick your left foot next to the right foot. Come up to your fingers. Chaturanga push-up with your exhale. The up dog with an inhale. Down dog with your exhale. Left foot lunges all the way up. Now come up to your fingertips. Turn all 10 of them out to the sides. As you step onto your front leg, lift the back one really high. Perfectly okay to modify by touching your right hand to your chest. If that goes well, rotate your hip and your heart open sideways and reach your right arm straight upwards into the air. Back leg lifts really high. Both hands come back down to the floor and one foot rests next to the other foot. Come down to a squatting posture. Roll backward to a seated position and straighten your legs to the front. Now, once you've got to that position, just roll yourself all the way down your back to recline. Bend your legs and heel toe your feet all the way together. Now we're going to strengthen some of the muscles in your posterior chain. So squeeze your arms tight into your sides. Bend your arms to 90 degrees. Then as you press your elbows down, squeeze your shoulders closer to your spine. Now squeeze your knees together tight. Lift your hips all the way up in the air to the ceiling and squeeze your butt. Separate your knees, roll onto the outer borders of your feet without letting your hips drop. Take your knees together and then all the way back down. And on your own, self-paced, repeat. Knees squeeze together as your hips rise. Squeeze your butt. Separate your knees and roll onto the blade edge of your feet. Knees together, descend, and continue on. A few more rounds. Next time you squeeze your knees together with your hips lifted, stay there. Draw your right knee toward your chest. If you want to make it harder, extend your right leg forward with your right knee even with the left. And then take your hips all the way back down to the earth. Squeeze your knees together and give your hips another lift. Try to keep your hips leveled with the ceiling as you draw your left knee toward your chest. If you want to make it a lot harder, extend your left leg forward so your left knee is even with the right knee. And then all the way back down to the earth. Now reach your arms out to your sides. Slide your hips over to the right edge of your mat. Draw your knees toward your chest. Drop your knees over to the left. Press your knees closer to the floor with your left hand and rotate to the right. Slow, deep breaths. Sweep your knees all the way back up. Shift them over for the same on the second side. Draw your knees to your chest. Drop your knees right. Press your knees closer to the floor with your right hands. And gaze left as you continue to twist. Sweep your knees all the way back up and center your hips with the midline of your mat. This time slide your feet rather, a little further apart so they're about hips distance. Reach forward and try to touch your middle fingers to your heels. If that's not working, just get as close as you can. Bend your arms to 90 again. Squeeze your shoulders under. And then take the bridge. Leading with your knees, lift your hips all the way upwards into the air. Drive your elbows down and let your ribs poke out a little bit as your hips rise higher and higher and higher. And then let your hips come all the way back down to the ground again. Wave your knees from one side to the other side. Hold the backs of your legs and rock all the way up to a seated position. Once you're at the top, plant your hands near the front. Roll forward to a high kneeling position, setting up for the camel's pose. Make sure your hips are above your knees and your shoulders are placed above the hips. Now, if you like, you can curl your toes under to lift the heels higher. Otherwise, tops of the feet down is totally fine. Take your hands to your waist, squeeze your elbows back, and then lift up to the base of your ribs to bend your spine. If you'd like to grab your heels, go for it. Otherwise, just hang out there with me with your hands on your waist as an alternative. Now use an inhale to come up. Still kneeling, stick your hips out a little bit and plant your hands on the tops of your legs with your fingers faced in toward your midline. And then press down on your legs. Roll your tail under to traction your lower back and your spine. Add another round of the same, with slight variation. This time, reach your left arm straight to the ceiling. Rotate your chest right and feel free to stay there. Otherwise, reach your right hand back to grab a hold of your right heel. And just stretch at the diagonal by reaching your left arm over your right shoulder. If that bothers your lower back, do it with one hand on the waist instead and a very light twist and bend. Use an inhale to come back up. Reach your right arm to the ceiling. And twisting yourself left, reach back for the attempted clasp. If that works well for you, stretch at the diagonal by reaching your right hand out and over your left heel. And sweep your hand all the way back down. Once you've done so, plant your hands in the front of your mat. Shift back to the four-pointed kneeling stance and position your shoulders directly over your wrists. All right, puppy dog stretch is always a great option. Walk both hands forward. With your arms straight, let your chest sink down toward the floor. If you can put your forehead on the ground, take it down, and or your chin if you prefer. Use that to open up that whole middle swath of back. Round your spine in order to lift your elbows. Walk your hands back. Slide your knees forward toward your wrists, and then crossing your ankles behind you, roll backward over your feet to a seated position on the ground. If it helps, slide your hips a little closer to the front of your mat, and then roll all the way down to lay down on your back again. All right, putting it all together, we'll move toward the wheel. If you prefer not to do the wheel, just go with a bridge instead. Either way, bend your elbows so you can really jam your elbows into the floor and squeeze your shoulders closer to your spine. Lift your hips all the way off of the ground. Now, if you wish, stay there like I. Otherwise, plant your hands near either side of your head. Drive down through your arms and come up to the deeper, straight armed back bend. If you're modifying like me, just keep your hips relatively lifted upright. If you're doing the wheel pose, try to straighten both arms completely. All right, everybody take your hips all the way back down to the ground. Again, reach your arms out to the sides. And draw your knees toward your chest. Drop your knees left. If you want a deeper stretch, straighten your legs completely. And try to grab the edge of your right foot with your left hand and rotate your gaze right as you hold the twist. Bend your legs first, sweep your knees all the way back up. Take them over to the right this time round. You can definitely hold that twist. If you want a deeper one, straighten your legs. Try to grab the blade edge of your left foot with your right hand and gaze out over your left shoulder as you spin. Bend your legs, sweep them all the way back to the upright. Point your legs straight upwards into the air. Make your arms into a beach ball shape with your fingers sort of placed at about the height of your knees and belly crunch up to the front. If you want to make it harder, drop your heels down and forward. Go as far with that as you like until they hover off the floor just a little bit, or higher up if you prefer. If you want to make it a little harder still, reach your arms overhead and back. Rock your torso from right side to left side in gentle rocks. Only one of these for today. Couple more rocks from one side to the next. And then all the way back down to the floor beneath. And hold your knees. Rock up to a full seated position. Now I'm going to spin around and face the camera so it's easier for you to see my legs, but we'll be taking the cow face pose. So wrap your right knee over left knee and press your knees closer together. Draw your other foot back. And holding onto your feet, sit up a little taller. And forward lean over your legs till you feel some stretch in your hips. And use your next inhale to sit all the way up. Wrap your legs around for the same posture on the other side. And press your knees a bit closer together once they wrap. Try to glue your left sitting bone to the ground. And then like before, fold over your legs beneath. Foot all the way back up. Straddle your legs out to your sides. Then use some of that flexibility you've built to walk your hands forward. If you want to take it deeper, you can take your elbows down to the floor. If you're feeling particularly bendy today, you can walk your hands ahead and fold forward as deeply as you like. Otherwise, sort of hang out with me, modifying with your elbows on the floor beneath. And a long spine from the base to the top. And then finally use an inhale to sit up and draw your heels toward your inner thighs. Now you got some options. You can grab the backs of your knees or your ankles or your big toes. Rock your body's weight backward, pick up your feet, and just try to balance there for a few. Rather than sliding your shoulders up around your ears, slide them down toward your belt. And then if it's working out for you, straighten your legs just a little bit at a time and try to maintain your balance. As you hold there, slide your shoulders down away from your ears toward your belt. If you tip over, that's half the fun, so just get back up and try it again. And then take your heels together. Reach your arms forward and roll all the way down your back to fully lay down. One more spinal twisting posture. Reach your arms way out to your sides. Then bend your legs and plant your feet on the floor. Wrap your right knee over top of left knee like you do in the Eagles pose. Slide your hips over to the right. Drop your knees over to the left. And just keep breathing as you hold the twist. Deeply or softly, totally up to you. Sweep your knees all the way back up. Wrap your legs around in the other direction. And then take the same pose on the other side. All right, everybody, then find a way to the corpse pose, flat out on your back on the floor. Unless you prefer seated meditation, that's always a good alternative. Make any final adjustments you need to get heavy, comfortable, and still. So I still remember the very first time I had an asthma attack. I was in Arizona in the Superstition Mountains. I'm a student of history, and it said that the lost Dutchman gold mine rests in those mountains. Now, people have been searching for that thing for centuries, and I knew that I didn't have any hope whatsoever in finding it, but it was still fun to look. So I spent a number of days out in the mountains, traipsing around the dusky landscape looking for the gold. Now, one day when I was sure and certain that I wasn't going to make any progress on my stated goal, I saw the mountain top and I decided that I would scale the mountain instead. I was all by myself and I hiked up to the top over the course of about 3 hours. Now, on my way to the top, everything was completely fine, but then when I got to the top to take in the pretty view, I actually couldn't take a breath. It was crazy. It felt like somebody jammed a big sock into my gullet and I actually couldn't draw very much air. Now, I never had that happen before. So I just did my best to get through it, and by taking really slow, expansive breaths. At some point that wasn't working too terribly well, so I just did what I could do and I started to make my way back down the mountain. Now, for some reason, the motion of walking downhill, I think, triggered something, and something shifts, and my asthma attack actually went away. Now, after that point, I was on asthma medication for many, many years. As of late, a gentleman named James Nestor wrote a book on breathing techniques. And he talked about how some people are able to overcome asthma by taking fewer breaths per minute. I thought that was counterintuitive. When I'm starving for oxygen, it really feels like I want to take the deepest breaths that I can. But I have to admit that every time I do that, it seems to make my lungs more constricted. So I decided to follow Mr. Nestor's advice. And for a few minutes every day, I practiced taking fewer breaths. At first, I got my breath rate down to fewer than 12 breaths per minute. And then with some more practice, I got it down to a point where I was only taking 3 to 4 breaths per minute. And I kid you not, it worked like magic. It took some months, but I have to say that my asthma symptoms have reduced by about 90%. And at this point, I'm actually lucky enough to not have to be on my medication anymore. I think everybody's physiology is different in that respect, and if you suffer from that particular malady, you may not have the same success that I did, but it's definitely worth trying. It's also important to note that if you decide to reduce medication, it's always important to do under your doctor's guidance. Now, even so, the true reason I brought up that story today is it had some unintended consequences. See, when I was holding out my breath over and over again, I started to notice at the end I would feel really, really calm, almost drugged out. And so when I started to teach the same breath holding exercise in my classes, I noticed that lots of other people had the same thing happen. Some people who can never fall asleep at night found themselves readily falling asleep. People who have been struggling from anxiety for many years actually started to see a reduction of their anxiety, and it actually went a little bit deeper than the typical body scans that I offer at the end of class. Now, I'm always trying to learn new methods, and since that's worked very well, as of late, I've been integrating those breath retention exercises into the end of my classes. If you haven't done them before, you should definitely give it a shot with me for today. Now, as you're practicing, you should note a few things. First and foremost is that we're going to hold the breath out for about 5 to 5.5 seconds tops. Now, as you do that, you'll start to feel a build in carbon dioxide, which will make you feel like you're running out of breath. Now, when that happens, you should know that technically you have a ton of oxygen in your body, and holding your breath for 5 seconds, even repetitively, isn't really going to knock a dent in that. So know with faith and confidence you have plenty of oxygen. Just do your best to relax into the discomfort. After a little while, your body will adjust and it will feel natural to breathe less. Now, of course, and as always, if it starts to become overwhelming at any given point, you just return to normal breaths. Once you feel recovered, jump back in when you're ready. So for now, breathe normally. There's no need to deepen your breath, and in fact, it's better if you don't. Just let your inhale and exhale be shallow, like the normal breaths you take all day. The next time you exhale, pause your breath and relax. Breathe in. Focus on your eyes, exhale, hold it out, and relax. Breathe in. Your ears, breathe out. Hold your breath out every time and relax. Breathe in. Your nostrils, breathe out. Breathe in. Your cheeks, breathe out. Breathe in. Your lips, breathe out. Breathe in. Your teeth, breathe out. Breathe in. Tip of your tongue, breathe out. Breathe in. Center throat, breathe out. Breathe in. Tips of your shoulders, breathe out. Breathe in. Elbows, breathe out. Breathe in. Your wrists, breathe out. Breathe in. Your palms, breathe out. Breathe in. Fingertips, breathe out. Breathe in. Your hips, breathe out. Breathe in. Your knees, breathe out. Breathe in. Your ankles, breathe out. Breathe in. Bottoms of your feet, breathe out. Breathe in. Tips of your toes, breathe out. Breathe in. Sides of your body, breathe out. Breathe in. Back of the body, breathe out. Breathe in. Your navel, breathe out. Breathe in. Your chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Your shoulders, breathe out. Breathe in. Back of your neck, breathe out. Breathe in. Center chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Palms of your hands, breathe out. Breathe in. Center chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Bottoms of your feet, breathe out. Breathe in. Center chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Top of your head, breathe out. Breathe in. Center of your chest, breathe out. And for a moment, return to normal breaths. So you're just taking fewer than 12 breaths per minute, which should be enough to give you some sedative, calming effects from the practice. Now, this final part is going to be self-paced. I'll ask you to breathe even less frequently. Your goal is to keep it down to fewer than 12 breaths per minute. If you're going to do that, just try to maintain the same pace we were doing. If you want to push yourself a little bit, though, hold your breath out until it becomes slightly more uncomfortable, with an ultimate goal of getting down to 3 to 4 breaths in a 60-second period of time. Anything from 12 to 3 or 4. If that's a strain, just do the best you can. So at the end of your next exhale, pause your breath until it becomes slightly or actually uncomfortable. And count how many breaths you take over the course of the next minute. When it comes time to inhale and exhale, do it again. And just repeat over and over. You're 15 seconds in. "30 seconds. 45 seconds. Just relax mentally and physically. 5 seconds. One more round, 60 seconds. Relax mentally and physically. You've got enough oxygen. Just let yourself be comfortable with the discomfort. 45 seconds. "30 seconds. Final 15. And then back to normal breathing patterns. Whenever you're ready, let yourself roll all the way over and then onto one side. With both eyes closed, come back to a seated and cross-legged posture of some type. And then once you're there, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practices to and pray for or wish for their happiness and well-being. Take a moment to be thankful for the gift of another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.